If people join, I will try to keep the comment reading to a minimal, because I want this video to just be conveyed as like a straight message topic type of format. Um, I do miss making videos. I do genuinely miss going live. Um, but now the first topic here. Um, my phone broke. If you have all been watching the cooking videos that I've posted recently, you can see the quality of the video went down. It's because I'm literally borrowing a family member's phone right now, but that's not really important. Um, this, as you can see, has no cracks on it, none whatsoever. Um, so literally when that happened, the way it happened, like just falling out of my pocket a few times and then not turning on, like immediately disconnecting from my headphones and not turning on again, like whew, I've been going through a lot with Verizon, let me tell you that. But to just not focus on the physical stuff too much, that's the update. Second topic is I have been grounding myself so much. Being outside, going for walks, stretching, doing more yoga, meditating, focusing my energy more, fasting, very seriously fasting. Um, Intermittent fasting at first. I haven't gone to a liquid diet, but um, just really still just focusing on fasting and taking out certain um, treats or stuff that I used to eat, just unconsciously, you know. So yeah, I haven't had a lot of salty things, haven't had a lot of high sugar content, not too much fatty foods outside of like eating grains or seeds or nuts, um, especially in smoothies, like walnuts, flaxseed, pumpkin seed, chia seeds, you know, powdered cinnamon, stuff like that is really good. Um, so that was a funny comment. I can barely understand that. But hello to the two people in chat. Um, oh, now it's more hello though. So yeah, I've literally been fasting and having like smoothies and posting more healthy stuff like vegan meals, plant-based meals. Recently on this phone that I'm borrowing, and I didn't want to record a video and post it because it's like, you know, not my storage either. It's just a way to access what I need to access still. So, yep, I am borrowing a phone. So blessed, so lucky to have this. Um, Hemp seeds are also good. I haven't currently used hemp seeds, but I used hemp seeds in the past to answer your question because I had a blend. Oh, look at that! I just looked up and it was 333 on the recording. Um, but yeah, it was a mix. I got a mix one time, so it was like hemp seed, chia seed, flax seed mixed. Um, Sorry, I'm looking down because there's like a bug. There's literally like it doesn't look like a spider, but there's a bug on the ground. Look. Yeah, so it looks like a roly poly or something. I don't know, but that's not important. I just put my feet up on the couch. Um, which leads me back to the message I wanted to share. Because I've been in nature so much, and because I've had to ground my energy, like bring myself back to a level of calm and awareness, right? It reminded me of like focusing your energy to channel, right? So I've worked a lot on my energy. I've worked a lot on going through my past, writing things down in a notebook or on a note card whenever I feel inspired. Um, you know, filling out my planner more, like, oh, I did this and this and this today. Or like if I have a lot of things to do, I'll remember to write them down or just like be really clear with my intentions and I found that um, I've been able to kind of get back into like a calm nervous system when I isolate myself. But I've also noticed that I'm bordering on like um, hermit behavior when I isolate myself for too long. So I've also just tried like going for walks more, like visiting places like the city park. Um, just focusing more on um, being active, being under the sun, like not just staying inside and sleeping in or sleeping throughout the day, stuff like that. But also just being more spontaneous, trying things, new things, like not even like bucket list stuff, but ever since I finished that certification, I was like, that's not something that I would have picked for myself, but I did it anyway. Um, and I learned so much. It was like a missing puzzle piece type of thing. Um, but also, I've noticed how much more I've been able to put into my practices to be able to write things out to like get myself back on track. So it's always like a struggle getting out of hermit behavior, but then it's like that community human aspect of yourself that's like I want to bond, I want to be around people, I want to just be in a positive environment. So I find that just going outside and some people like honk or wave or give you a nod when they drive by. Some people will like talk to you or ask you questions about things. Like it just depends where you're at, really. So yeah, being in a small town still has its downsides, but there are some, benefits, some positives. Um, but now that I've gotten that almost 7.5 minutes of backstory, um, I want to say welcome to everyone who's watching this video, either live or recorded. Um, I do believe that this transcends time in a way. Um, but also in my meditation and my seeking is a better word. In my seeking and meditating and finding more discipline with yoga, with stretching, with drinking more water, being more intentional about how I treat my body, I have looked into more non judgmental practices. So I got interested in the Ashtavakra Gita, and a YouTube video just popped up on my algorithm, like with an envelope. And I thought before, like I had seen it before, and I thought it was like, oh, this is for tarot reading about love or something, because it was just an envelope with a heart on it. So I was like, okay. Um, and then the title said, um, this video will find you when you really need to see it. So that's why even more I was like, okay, this is just some tarot reading thing. Um, or some like, oh, horoscope lunar forecast situation. I was like, okay, interesting, but it stuck out because it was another video from that same channel, but it stuck out, and it was like you will be sent this from the universe when you really need to see it. So I was like, okay, let me just click on it and see, right? And I'm working on, like I said, going through my past and like my experiences, but also just like noticing the behaviors in like relationships, for example, people I've dated, like noticing like within relationships how I acted differently when I lived um, in a certain space or excuse me, with a certain family member. It was like I acted almost according to the environment, and that's the other part of why coming out of hermit mode, as they would say, um, is or like being in isolation, let's just say, right? Being like spiritual recovery. Um, why it's so hard to come out of it, because it's like I'm not a mean person. I'm not an aggressive person. I'm not someone who is judgmental. I'm not someone who is manipulative. I'm not someone who gossips. It's like all these projections, right, that people would give to me. I would sometimes, but more times out of not, internalize their judgments or find a way to view myself through their lens instead of actually living my life. And it sounds so simple, but like on the surface, that's really what leads to like chronic illnesses and debilitation and wanting to become invisible. Because it's like the moment that you look at your past, number one, you have more awareness, right? Number two, you identify your behaviors throughout certain parts of your life. Number three, looking for ways to reparent yourself. And I'm trying to think of an example of that. But it's like reparenting yourself with a like now you know better type of skill set or now you know better type of approach instead of like I didn't do this right and I messed up this relationship and I don't have um like any hobbies. Like you're just at home, like because of the trauma that happened to you. For example, right? But the moral of the story is like what you find in that awareness is what triggers you. So at the end of the day, you're like, okay, if I'm aware of how I lived when I lived with my parents, or with one parent, let's just say, or I'm aware of how I acted when I lived with that ex boyfriend, or I remember how I acted or reacted when I lived with roommates, for example, right? If we're just talking about living day to day, like having awareness of your past, right? But if we have that awareness of how we act, we can then get into our triggers or the ways that we, let's just say, if you don't crash out a lot and you're not triggered a lot, like you could also be reclusive or hide yourself. Or, like, for example, okay, let's just say something that came from my childhood trauma was a survival instinct. And that survival instinct um, never wore off. So let's just say I act hyper vigilant or I act like I don't want to be seen. That comment about wanting to become invisible around others. Um, sorry. Or it's like I have a survival instinct to always, what's it called, sacrifice my needs before others. It's a really good one that people hide themselves behind hospitality or hosting other people, let's just say. Like, I'm trying to also use words that are universal to this, so I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm talking very simply, but it's like I want people to get this connection because meditation is not just something that people just close their eyes or go in a dark room and sit there for 30 minutes or like don't talk, don't open their eyes, don't do anything. But it is easier to have a more meditative habit or a meditative approach to life when you are comfortable with people being around you or not being around you. If you're comfortable in different environments, if you're comfortable in who you are, if you're comfortable with um, forgiving yourself and your past. We talk about trauma, but we can also inflict trauma onto others and hold grudges or just not forgive people who, excuse me, confirmation, who have done us wrong in our past and we've lashed out instead of having a serious conversation and addressing something. Or let's just say, right, with the thing about hiding ourselves, we could avoid problems until um, what's bottled up, like what you're not aware of, right? If you're not living consciously in the moment, you can become unaware of your actions, right? And that's why meditation is important because the more you live in the present moment, the less you have to focus on the past or the future. It's like, okay, I'm in charge of myself right now with the knowledge from the past, but knowing that I do have goals in the future, I do have things that I want to accomplish. I don't just want to live um, as if I don't want to accomplish anything. I don't want to live as if I don't find life important and exciting and really like just vivid and beautiful and artistic and like vibrant. I want to know that my inner child is proud of me as much as the adult future self is proud of me. You know what I'm saying? And this is why I've been getting into more excuse me, more philosophies and practices and one could even say religions, but I don't find myself to be a religious person. But looking into more peace or meditative practices, let's just say, more peaceful practices, more meditative practices, more philosophies about releasing the past, um, which is a really like subtle, like hidden way of saying get a new mindset and like people, and I'm correlating this to psychology too because it's like people would get lobotomies and they would have secret hidden families and they would have like double lives, right? Instead of just living authentically and addressing the hurt and like finding a way to get support, they went the medical route, they went the pills route, they went, um, like I said, a lobotomy, like just manipulating their body to forget. And it's like with meditation and with awareness, you literally have less mental illness, you have less mental trauma, you have more mental clarity, actually. You have more patience, you have more serotonin, melatonin, you have more just peace, mental peace, right? And I think that a lot, again, because I'm not a religious person, but I think there is a lot of wisdom in quote unquote religious texts or holy books that is connected. And it's like the lessons never fade. There's never a moment where you will completely understand, excuse me, completely get how to take anxiety out of your life. There's never a moment where you're like, okay, I know everything, I know how to move forward, I'm gonna live my life perfectly and not get in my head. Like, there's something that's gonna be either from your past or from like a mental scarring, which is from a deep emotional trigger or abandonment or things that disturbed you and were never addressed. Um, or they have like a trauma that happens repeatedly, like for a prolonged period of time. Um, there are ways that an emotional trigger can literally bring you back to your past, like bring you back to the last time that that happened. So that is where in the live I was saying earlier, like about chronic illnesses, chronic fatigue, um, like feeling, what is it, lethargic, drained, tired, no energy. That's because you have these parts of you that are blocked off or constantly triggered, like your fight or flight is constantly triggered. Your parasympathetic nervous system is not aligned. Your lymphatic system is what is it? I think clogged might be the term, or inflamed. I'm not a doctor. I'm just speaking on stuff I know from my personal training and life coaching certifications. So let me just say that. I'm not someone who's in the medical field. I'm not someone in the psychiatric field. This is literally just things that I know from my research and my meditation. So I do want to preface that. And I think that's why it's even more important to share the things that I've been like going through and like the things that I've been collecting and the channeling and everything that's happened just for me fasting and resting and grounding myself I'm being more spontaneous because the flip side of all this awareness is that you can get stuck in your head sometimes. And that's the part that people don't really discuss. They're like, in public, hey, how you doing? If they know your family, they'll ask about your family, or if you're in a relationship, they'll ask about them. Like just very surface level things that they know. Or like if you get sick, they'll oh, hey, you feeling better? Hey, can I bring you something to eat for dinner? Some soup, some tea. Like they'll just think of little things to talk about, right? But no one is ever like, hey, are you doing all right? Do you feel relaxed in your body? Like, are you comfortable with your self image? Um, are you having any struggles in your relationship in the way that you interact with people? Like, there's never time in society, collectively, online, on social media, in everyday conversations, in shopping. There's never a time where people are like, hey, let's be really vulnerable, let's be really honest here. This thing keeps popping in my mind. It keeps coming up in my spirit. It keeps having a way to find a way to pop up in my life. What is that about? And sometimes, if people become sick enough, they will go see a doctor or a psychotherapist or a life coach or a trusted advisor like a priest, priestess, a oracle in the older times, um, what is it, a shaman, right? A witch doctor, a tarot person, a tarot reader, um, fortune teller. There's like so many things that people are like, okay, I don't know it about myself. I'm gonna go to someone else, right? And that's the other part I've gotten to understand about myself. It's literally all within you. Literally all within you. So when you meditate and when you go to these philosophies, right, they teach you how to have a new brain, a new mindset, a new way of living without the grasping and the hold that the past or your upbringing or traumatic events, because again, things could happen later in life as well to people. It's not all just in their childhood. My condolences to people who've gone through various traumas, various different things, not just verbal abuse, but the physical abuse, the psychological manipulation, the shaming, the interventions from groups or from people close by, um, you know, there's multiple forms of abuse, multiple forms of trauma. I'm not a doctor. I'm not someone with a license behind it. I'm just speaking from my experience and what I have collected. So I said twice now. I should hope that people do not take every single thing I say and just run with it. Um, and that's the other thing about personal training and life coaching together. Because those two certifications give me so much psychology and so much depth and understanding to humanity, to why people give up on themselves, to why people don't push themselves as hard as they could, to why people compare themselves so much or see themselves as less than. And again, it goes back to those survival instincts and those things that people were taught, or the, the pattern of living that got turned into muscle memory, that turned into everyday life, that turned into the last 5 years of their life, right? Let's just say it like that. Meditation and temporary isolation, not prolonged isolation. You should not isolate yourself for more than a few months. Let me just say that for guidance, right? But that doesn't mean like I'm isolating myself, I'm not leaving the house, I'm not going outside. That's not what I mean by isolation. I mean isolation by blocking everything out that is incoming to your energy, incoming to your attention, let's just say. And that does not mean, again, avoid your responsibilities. I'm not saying that. Okay? I'm saying, like, block out the social media, block out the phone notifications for apps or whatever, news, whatever pops up, right? Block your notifications. Do not scroll endlessly online. Do not make something an idol where it's dictating your day, basically, all right? Because I could talk about the phone, but it's just like, hey, don't live on your phone and stay in your room and don't go outside and don't exercise and don't stretch. Like, that's what I'm saying. Don't do that, but find more ways to observe others instead of getting involved if you can't pull yourself away completely. Find more ways to go outside and sit in silence and just listen. Listen to the birds, listen to the cars driving, listen to the wind, listen to the trees, listen to whatever you want, but do it in silence. Walking barefoot on the grass, saying affirmations to yourself, or just sitting barefoot against dirt or grass, wherever you are, but just barefoot against the soil, connecting with the earth, being at one with nature, right? That's the type of grounding I'm talking about. Like, that is where the anxiety, the thoughtless, just mind loops, mind racing, intrusive thoughts, all of those things literally would go less and less and less and less, be really small and quiet, and then they would go away. The more I meditated, the more I grounded, the more I did more plant medicine things like drinking teas, having lavender chamomile, hibiscus, moringa, things like that. Clear out your gut, clear out your liver, your digestive and emotional processing. Drinking more water, right? But those are the things I'm talking about, like being more intentional with your energy and what you put into your body so that you will be able to receive. That's the biggest thing. People don't talk about meditation enough, I think. Well, one of the reasons, right? But it's a way to also, like, right, we're talking about your mindset, right? Having a new mindset, but also cleaning and removing blockages from your heart, like releasing that grudge, releasing that feeling of you're not enough, releasing those limiting beliefs, releasing the identity crisis, the things that you cling on to, the what was I saying before about, like, muscle memory becoming your whole day, becoming your life. Sometimes that's literally what you do after a long amount of time, and you don't even notice, the unconscious ways, the bias, the way that you control yourself. These things start to slip your mind when you're literally not aware, when you're not leaving room to observe yourself, right? You become so attached to your decisions, so attached to your choices, so attached to what you do, right? You start to second guess yourself. You start to get into perfectionism. You start to hold on so dearly to others' opinions. Like, it's the diminishing of the sense of self that leads to the diminishing of your boundaries, right? When people say have a backbone, get a backbone, right? If you're someone who's codependent and looking like, I need to please my partner, I need to please the person I'm living with, or else I will be punished, or else I'm not good enough, or else something bad will happen, right? Whatever the excuses, whatever the thoughts are telling you, right? That's not something that you should retain. And I wanted, again, like with the psychological and physical connection, with the spiritual and psychological connection, there is also a connection to yourself. So if you're disconnected from the earth, you're disconnected from yourself, you're disconnected from spirit, where are you connected? That's in routine, that's in habit, that's in the family cycles, the systems, the things that you're doing unconsciously, not reactively, the things that you do out of muscle memory, the things that you just go along with. And that is another way that people don't want to get into meditation. They don't want to get into what they're not aware of. They don't want to get into the last time that they freaked out about something. They don't want to get into what um, the circumstances or what created the circumstances leading up to a meltdown, leading up to an anxiety attack, leading up to hysteria or mania. Those type of things are what leads to mental illness, are what leads to mental fog, are what leads to the disconnect to our body, back full circle here, right? So the emotions and the energy and the intention behind how you treat yourself interacts with how you take care of your body, right? And all of this interacts with how you are connected to your spirit. Because imagine you not doing the work on yourself, you not doing the physical work on yourself or the internal work on yourself, like right inside and outside. Imagine you wanting to get into higher education or spiritual work, like becoming a monk or clergy member or a nun, a high priestess, a shaman. Again, some of these things that are naturally um, easy for you or ordained for your life or in your bloodline, some of these things are very powerful and they need that level of focus. They need that level of discipline and maturity and a strong sense of self, right? You want to be a leader. You want to be someone who magnetizes opportunities, someone within a big community, someone that doesn't have to hold on to fleeting small talk and circumstances and things that they let dictate them. This is something that you have to seek out for yourself, right? Or else you're just going to keep feeling bad and living unconsciously and not feeling fulfilled with what you are surrounded by. And that is the ultimate thing that I've learned. And I will share the lessons from the Ashtavakra Gita, which is linked initially to Hinduism, but some schools of Buddhism read the Bhagavad Gita and the Vedic text and things from Hinduism. So, but I was in nature listening to this and writing it down after using plant medicine, I will say. But I just felt such a spirit of calmness, like Mother Earth directly like breezing the wind and shining the sun and warming the temperature. It was such a deep level of like sitting on the bench, even though there's ants, spiders, whatever around, right? I'm just sitting there listening, writing down, okay, let the spider pass. Okay, move around. Go sit on this other bench. Okay. And keep writing. But like it was such a deep connection that I had with nature. And that's what I'm saying about consistency. Connection you feel doing anything consistently, but especially if it's like forming a relationship and you know it's long lasting, right? That's the best part of it. Like, not looking at yourself and your insecurities and what you can't do, but just noticing and feeling at peace where you're at, feeling at peace within a connection. It trains your body, it trains your nervous system, It trains your mental to calm down just for 30 minutes, just for an hour, just for a short period of time, but to calm down and listen. Breathe more intentionally, right? Slow down the thinking. And go outside and observe. And it's like direct connection with spirit for me. So I will share the messages from the videos and the things I listen to. But this is from, again, the Ashtavakra Gita. Enter the peace of delusion. There is nothing to dissolve. You are perfect, changeless, the space between life and death itself. No need to renounce, accept, or destroy. You are a shoreless ocean in infinite space. You are not the mind. The mind, it is complex. Let it go. It is shaped by its environment. You make perception that shapes your world. The mind is conditioned. The more detachment you feel, the more peace you will feel. That peace then guides you. Perception is inseparable to awareness. You are the happening. You are not what happens to you. Know yourself as one. I am in all beings, and all beings are within me. All is the self. You are immaculate. Again, touched by nothing. What is there to renounce? Awareness is primal. So that was the first part that I read and listened to. And the next part was instructions from the Ashtavakra Gita. But the instructions say to be free, don't be so entrusted in your senses. Turn to forgiveness. Let go of the guilt and blame onto others. Then turn to kindness and simplicity. Next, end the harsh judgments and self-loathing. Turn inwards and fiercely inquire only about the truth. You're not the body. You are a formless being. No mental, physical, or elemental forms. You are only the witness. Abide in awareness with no illusion of person. You will instantly be free and at peace. Drop the idea of being a person by stopping the flow of thought. Give up the illusion. And those two parts, I feel like were important. But I listened to a video where it looped, and I was like, oh, this feels so great to be in nature and just listening, being at peace. And it was funny because I actually, on the walk back from one of the park trips, it was like one of the neighbors was just outside on his porch, and he called me a hippie. I was like, oh, hi. And I just listened to the thing, the video. But I'm like, and then I looked into that and Hinduism, and there was a podcast and a few monks that I listened to, right? But they were saying how in the 60s and 70s, there was a drug thing that helped people free their minds and open their third eye and whatnot, right? And a sense of community and protesting and, hugging trees being like a joke or a thing to make fun of people, right? But people were literally smoking or taking mushrooms or psychedelic drugs as we see them now, right? But taking things and being in community and going outside and camping and, things, literally just community things for free that you can do that bring interaction with others, bring engagement, bring happiness, right? And then they started coming together and getting into politics and protesting the war in Vietnam, as it is called in the West. Um, but it's like the people had a general sense of looking past themselves and at others in community. The bigger takeaway was, oh, they did a lot of drugs, wore tight clothing or tight pants, and they listen to music and were just clubbing a lot. And it's like, wow, what a takeaway, right? But the other side of that is that people were connecting, even astrologically, you know the alignments and you know shifts, movements of constellations, all those things were confirmation, excuse me, were also what allowed humanity to look at themselves, the confirmation, excuse me, to look at themselves and think, if I knew myself well enough to get to this point, to be this open with others and to be vulnerable, then that must mean these people care about me the same way that I care about them, right? And they were coming together and they were connecting their brains, connecting their voices, connecting their energy, their influence, but most importantly, their attention, and focusing on things that affected them as a whole. And that's the point of division. That's the point of subtly telling people about their insecurities versus the ways that they can uplift themselves, right? I had a lot a few weeks ago, obviously, but last month, in July, I believe, talking about how much money is into cosmetics, is into the medical industry, is into entertainment, but that's not in war, obviously. That's an industry. That's things that they make money off of, obviously, right? I'm not going to touch on that because I could talk on it for hours, true. But the original point with they don't invest those types of industries or those types of funding or money into communities, into infrastructure that brings people together. They profit off of psychologists, they profit off of education systems wanting to learn more about yourself. It costs you your time and your attention, most important. And they switched all of that attention and time and energy and effort and research into a job. So you have a society that is detached from others, that doesn't want to focus inward, and that pushes more of their attention and energy towards a job, towards profit. And you wonder why people aren't meditating. Or, on the opposite, isolating and reclusive behavior towards others. They don't want to get hurt. They don't want to be overstimulated. But now, society is about distraction, delusion, living outside of the present moment. And this has happened for centuries, truly. New governments, new rulers, kings, pharaohs, emperors, dictators, religious groups, all coming together to distract and move our energy towards them, what they are aligned with. And the Ashtavakra, which not the K, Gita, helped me connect with the removing of myself. And if you remove yourself, you remove the projections. 4440, but 444 as I looked up at the clock, amazing. Helps you remove the way you see yourself, number one, and the way that you allow others' sight or perception of you, all of that is removed. All of that is removed. All of that is taken away. And if you change your mindset to release the past, you are infinite potential. You are infinite energy. You are connected to Source. And that's what I wanted to share as well. And the connection between Hinduism and Kemetic practices. Kemet is in Egypt before the name was changed, but Kemetic, Kemetic, Kemetic practices and principles being of the connection within themselves, leading to the connection of Source, the connection with Source, becoming God in the flesh, becoming that disciplined person who has that gift to meditate and receive guidance, to meditate and receive a channel, receive a download, receive your premonition, your future that you need to focus on, right? And those people were oracles. And it was interesting because going back to tarot reading and fortune readings, right? There was someone in a video that mentioned Isaiah 11 and Isaiah 23 and 24. And I'm like, I don't read the Bible. I don't have a Bible. But then I'm like, okay, let me look this up. And I read it from going to church this Sunday. It was such a lovely, inviting, warm people. They're like, oh, there's a guest here. You know, people coming up, wanting to shake your hand. Like, that's what I miss about community. Like, people genuinely being excited to see you just because you showed up. Like, wow. Right? And that's why I understand, like, the religious, like, intertwining of community and how you can't have community outside of religious spaces. I'm like, wow, that's a really good tactic. Really good tactic. Hold on, let me get the Bible real quick. This is my mother's Bible. It is very old. I will read from it very quickly. I'm not sure where Isaiah is. I'm trying to look in this little table of contents. Okay. Okay, my second swipe went to it. Bless. Okay. So, speaking of oracles and meditating, right? I'm literally gonna read this, okay? Sugar sprinkled. Okay, Isaiah chapter 23. I hope it just picked up the thunder. Oh my gosh. Isaiah chapter 23. And this was from an oracle. So that's how I was like, oh, interesting connection there. From the reading, because I was like, okay, let me read this. This has popped in my head a few times now. Isaiah 23. Okay. So this is a proclamation against Tyre, but this is from an oracle proclaiming this, right? And Tyre is a city, by the way. So it says, the burden against Tyre, wail your ships of Tarshish, for it is laid waste, so that there is no house, no harbor. From the land of Cyprus it is revealed to them. Be still, your inhabitants of the coastland, you merchants of Sidon, whom those who cross the sea have filled, and on great waters the grain of Shihor, the harvest of the river, is her revenue, and she is a marketplace for the nations. So this first three beginning verses here talking about the cities around Tyre that do, let's just say they do business with this port. They're bringing ships in and out. They're saying, halt your ships, stop bringing them. The city is about to be laid to waste, right? The marketplace no longer. The revenue is yours. Okay. It says, be ashamed, O Sidon, for the sea has spoken, the strength of the sea, saying, I do not labor, nor bring forth children, neither do I rear young men, nor bring up virgins. When the report reaches Egypt, they also will be in agony at the report of Tyre. Cross over to Tarshish, wail, you inhabitants of the coastland. Like saying, stop, don't go here. Is this your joyous city, whose antiquity is from ancient days, whose feet carried her far off to dwell, who has taken this counsel against Tyre, the crowning city, whose merchants are princes, whose traders are the honorable of the earth? The Lord of hosts has proposed it to dishonor the pride of all glory, to bring into contempt all the honorable of the earth. Overflow through your land like the river, a daughter of Tarshish. There is no more strength. He stretched out his hand over the sea, he shook the kingdoms. The Lord has given a commandment against Canaan to destroy its strongholds. And he said, you will rejoice no more, O you oppressed virgin daughter of Sidon. Arise, cross over to Cyprus, there also you will have no rest. Behold the lightning, oh my gosh. Behold the land of Chaldeans, this people which was not. Assyria founded it for wild beasts of the desert. They set up its towers, they raised up its palaces, and brought it to ruin. So this is talking about like what happened to the last city that was supposed to be destroyed and its inhabitants. Wail, you ships of Tarshish, for your strength is laid waste. Now it shall come to pass in that day that Tyre will be forgotten 70 years, according to the days of one king. At the end of the 70 years, it will happen to Tyre as in the song of the harlot. Take a harp, go about the city, you forgotten harlot. Make sweet melody, sing many songs, that you may be remembered. And it shall be at the end of 70 years that the Lord will deal with Tyre. She will return it to her hire and commit fornication with all the kingdoms of the world on the face of the earth. Her gain and her pay will be set apart for the Lord. It will not be treasured nor laid up, for her gain will be those who dwell before the Lord to eat sufficiently and for fine clothing. So, this is saying, I know the ending was a little like jumbled up, but it's saying that 70 years no one will come in contact with this city or with this people after it's laid to waste, right? And then after 70 years, God will step in. And it was saying an equivalence to a song about a harlot. A harlot was called a harlot, was what we would know today as a prostitute. And it is saying at the end some song lyrics, but basically, yeah, it's saying something about all the worlds and fornication. I don't know what that is, right? I don't know. But it's saying that the money she earns from having, fornication, let's just say, fornicating with the whole world, will not even be her money. She will have to give up the money to others whose hearts are pure. Basically, what it was saying. People who are set apart for the Lord is what it specifically said. But yeah, those will be for those who dwell before the Lord to eat sufficiently and for fine clothing. At the end is what it says. But chapter 24 speaks on the impendent judgment on the earth. It says, behold, the Lord makes the earth empty and makes it waste, distorts its surface and scatters abroad its inhabitants. And it shall be, as with the people, so with the priest, as with the servant, so with his master, as with the maid, so with her mistress, as with the buyer, so the lender. So the seller, as with the lender, so with the borrower, as with the creditor, so with the debtor. The land shall be entirely emptied and utterly plundered, for the Lord has spoken this word. The earth mourns and fades away. The world languishes and fades away. The haughty people of the earth languish. The earth is also defiled under its inhabitants, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore, the curse has devoured the earth, and those who dwell in it are desolate. Therefore, the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men are left. The new wine fails, the vine languishes, and the merry-hearted sigh. The mirth of the tambourine ceases, the noise of the jubilant ends, the joy of the harp ceases. They shall not drink wine with song, strong drink is bitter to those who drink it. The city of confusion is broken down. Every house is shut up so that none may go in. There is a cry for wine in the streets, and all joy is darkened. The mirth of the land is gone. In the city desolation is left, and the gate is stricken with destruction. When it shall be thus in the midst of the land, among the people, it shall be the shaking of an olive tree, like the gleaming of grapes with the vintage, when the vintage is done. They shall lift up their voices, they shall sing for the for the majesty of the Lord. They shall cry aloud from the sea. Therefore glorify the Lord in the dawning light, in the name of the Lord God of Israel, in the coastlands of the sea. For the ends of the earth we have heard songs, glory to the righteous. But I said, I am ruined, ruined, woe to me. The treacherous dealers have dealt treacherously. Indeed, the treacherous dealers have dealt very treacherously. Fear and pit and snare are upon you, O inhabitant of the earth, and it shall be that he who flees from the noise of the earth shall fall into the pit, and he who comes up from the midst of the pit shall be caught in its snare. For the windows from on high are open, and the foundations of the earth are shaken. The earth is violently broken. The earth is split open. The earth is shaken exceedingly. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall totter like a hut. Its transgression shall be very heavy upon it, and it will fall and not rise again. It shall come to pass in that day that the Lord will punish on high the host of exalted ones, and the earth, the kings of the earth. They will be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in the pit, and it will be shut up in the prison. After many days they will be punished, and then the moon will be disgraced, and the sun ashamed. For the Lord of hosts will reign on Mount Zion in Jerusalem, and before his elders gloriously. And then 25 and 26 are songs of praise and revelation. But this was the destruction that they spoke of for Tyre in chapter 23. And this is very interesting, right? Very interesting text. For two reasons. I'm going to try to speak on this quickly, but that was from an oracle, an angel. And then the messages on destruction was from a city that had an economy from trading and bartering, from making money from their ports and their revenues. And they put that and their city and the rulers of earth, the governors, the kings, the emperors, again, whatever was that time, they took those and put them as the authority over the earth. And that was a reminder from the God of the Bible, but I choose to view it the same within Hinduism, there being an ultimate creator, right? An oversoul, as some call it. But the creator was speaking on how everything could be wiped and taken away. And it said in the beginning of chapter 24 that it's the seller and the buyer, the lender and the borrower, the woman of the house and the mistress. It's the same for everyone. No matter if you're being done wrong or doing the wrongdoing, it will bring destruction. So if people don't speak out and come together and share what's in the best interest for the groups of people, then it's literally the same thing as us not doing anything against corruption or against a society that is not for the people or against those who are just making money off of the revenue and selling from their ports. And again, that reminded me of a certain country that I know of, maybe that I live in, but it is saying that destruction is near for them, and that an oracle would speak to the people about this destruction. And that's when it would be considered a warning. So I also very quickly want to speak to, after an hour here of explaining, which is kind of funny, but it is about knowing thyself and becoming the observer so that you can get the healthy connection to spirit, so that you can meditate and receive clarity without the past or projections or your energy going towards something that you don't intend it to go to. Your authentic self, your most present self, your alignment, all of it is in the present moment. And it's funny because I actually started wearing this angel necklace, even though it's backwards on there, but this angel necklace recently. So, in this, again, meditation, this isolation, this spontaneous times in my life, but the last month specifically, in this grounding in nature, I've noticed that it's like every time I do so, I feel like that moment in Virginia, in a park nearby where I lived, and it was like I was sitting on the yoga mat watching the sunset, and it was like, I am the alchemist, I am the high priestess, I am the ancestral curse breaker. And it was like such a cute moment in nature with spirit. But it's like, I would tell myself, I am the alchemist, I am the alchemist, I am the alchemist, no matter what happened in my life, right? And now it's like, I'm hearing so many like readings and advice and things, which is genuinely people being like, you have good energy. I like your energy. Or people are calm or tired around me. It's like they just tell me whatever. Or they're angry and I'm like talking to them and they're like, calm down a little. And it's like interesting how energy exchanges happen, right? But your energy and your aura, your field around you is very important. That you maintain this relationship to yourself and spirit and your body. Everything, your self-image, your body, the way you care for yourself, it's all connected. It's all connected. It's all connected. I promise. I promise. I promise. Because the way that you treat yourself and view yourself is how other people will treat you and view yourself. If you have low self-esteem, low self-worth, you will be dragged in the wind. You will be dragged along by anything and anybody, no matter what they say, no matter who they are. Literally, we just taking stock in everything people say. Because your energy is not going within, it's going to others, right? That's the beginning of how you fix your self-esteem or self-image issues. But again, I just talk so much about awareness, right? So you have to have that compassion and empathy for yourself first, to even want to slow down, to even want to meditate, to even want to focus more on yourself instead of a relationship. That thing that women say about decentering men, decenter everyone. Decenter everyone. Decenter your ego. Decenter yourself. Center yourself again, then decenter yourself. It doesn't matter. The point is you are the observer, not the doer. You are the person who's living every day and learning and changing and becoming better. To be able to channel, to be able to help yourself heal so other people heal, so the people they come in contact with heal, so the earth heals. It's literally it. At the end of the day, again, I don't have a certification, a doctorate, a title, none of that. But I know from my insights and from my channeling, my meditation, that there is a trickle effect with love. and with healing and with caring, there is a trickle effect. And gratitude trumps anxiety in the mind. You cannot have gratitude and anxiety living in the same space. It's literally impossible. Okay? These are psychological facts and spiritual habits for you to have more love to yourself. Okay? And I know I'm speaking generally here, but there is a collective of people that are just like me. Okay? Maybe my tattoos display a version of you, a connection to you. Maybe my necklace, like I was just talking about Angel. But I believe that my collective of people are oracles, like myself, are alchemists. Okay? And going back to that Bible verse, going back to that chapter that an oracle was speaking on the destruction of a city and then of the earth, that is very interesting, connecting with you are nothing, perfect, untouched by anything. Awareness is primal within you, but you are the observer. Remember that. Okay? And this is because when you create a new sense of self, the spirit within you is able to operate. Right? The human mind, the human capacity, the human thinking has only been limited or numbed from perception, from projection, from society, your family, your upbringing, your friends, whatever was around you. Again, you are made from your environment. Unless you get pushback, unless you get boundaries, unless you remove your energy. Okay? And the people that do this the easiest are conduits of the Holy Spirit, because they know that you have to remove yourself to allow spirit to come in, to allow the deity, the goddess, the God, the person, the spirit, anything that you're connecting to. You have to remove yourself to understand the lessons, right? The higher knowledge, the teaching, the ascended masters, the mentors, the monks, the guides, whatever you want to transmission or transition to or from, anything. It has to come with a connection. And you have to trust yourself to maintain this connection. Everything is connected though, as I just shared. So I'm here to speak to my collective though, very importantly at the end, most important for last, but I had to connect everything, right? So the oracles, I have this on my note card too, I'm not going to forget anything. The oracles are the original angels, the OG angels. They're the very first and oldest of the angels, right? So they're the first of God's creation, if you want to speak biblically here, right? But they provide insight and wise counsel and are prophetic in their predictions. Isaiah 23, I just spoke about, right? I just read. And this oracle, angel, being that shares from the light, that shares from the Holy Spirit, that shares from a divine power, this is extremely psychic, heightened psychic changes, in fact. You may have premonitions, you may scry, you may be a medium, you may give advice or prophecy or wisdom to the people around you, but specifically, everything that I've shared in this message is for you. If you were an oracle, one of the very first angels, one of God's creations, the oversoul, the Holy Spirit, the force of life within everything breathing, right? you know that you're past time, you transcend time, time is an illusion, time doesn't exist, all of those thoughts and people, right, that believe that, that is an oracle, that is an angel, the first angel, that is of the light, right? You are someone who has to protect yourself because you are targeted. You are. Not to create fear, but to affirm you. You're not blind. You're not crazy. You're not doing anything out of fear. You understand your mission. Sorry. You understand your mission and your purpose clearly. But sometimes things sway you. Sometimes things take you off balance or off of your path, and that's okay. But know that you have to protect your energy and take care of yourself and meditate. Most importantly, as an oracle, right? There are so many names nowadays. But people need to be led to their spirits, need to be led to wisdom through authenticity. So you have to be yourself, most importantly. But you have to protect your gifts, protect your connection to source. Okay? That's the most important thing. Excuse me. And as the very first and oldest angels, you know that you are always taken care of. You know that you are very heavily protected. Right? You know that you're very powerful. And it's okay to just release that feeling of priority and needing to do this and having the world on your shoulders. Release that. It's okay. I promise it's all right. But you still need to understand that you are important because of this. You observe the world. You observe good and bad. You know the difference. You've been in various environments. You read people. You read energy. You read the room. Okay? You're not naive. You're way undervalued. But start sharing your connection. Start sharing what pieces of the puzzle you think fit together. Start trusting yourself more. Getting away from the voices, getting away from the projections, getting away from the illusions, from the brainwash culture, the brainwash society of just do this, do that, other people are doing it. You're not meant to be like that, right? This is a very important reading and message together. So that's why I wanted to go live. That's why I wanted to share this. Because I'm understanding more of myself. The more I understand myself, the more I can understand others. But more importantly, the more I release the attachment to myself or release the attachment to a persona, the easier it is to connect, the easier it is to receive. Because when you let go, you're able to receive something. But when your cup has been dry, or your cup has a hole in it, or your cup has a leak, you're pouring and you're not able to receive. So stand firm in the confidence and the faith that once you put certain things into practice in your life, look back at what you have accomplished, what you have changed, where you moved from, right? And look at that and decide for yourself that you're going to move forward. You're going to nurture your gifts and yourself. There's nothing that's pressing and urgent because when you are within and you're meditating and you're aware, you are with spirit, you're with the oversoul, you are with the creator. Sure, things may come up. You may connect with something that you don't like or that you're not familiar with. And it's okay. Release that. It's okay. But know that everything that comes in is not meant to stay there. You can close out a channel. You can say, I need to just meditate silence. Or I need to temporarily pause this. Come back to it later. It's okay. Your mind is your friend. Train it. Love it. Reprogram it. Do whatever you have to do. But be in alignment. Right now is the time of rejoicing, being happy, being content within yourself, right? Now is the time. Now is the time. We're not giving our attention, our energy, our life force, our connection to spirit. We're not giving that away to someone else, to something else, to an idea, an object, an idol, nothing. We are focusing within. Hinduism taught me that. Kemetic principle taught me that. The earth taught me that. And now I'm teaching you. So, this is a longer message. This was a longer live, but that is basically the importance that I wanted to share. And you're all caught up now. Some things need to play out still. Just relax. Give things time. And protect your chakras. Protect your energy. Protect your aura. Everything. By becoming calm, becoming connected, becoming in the present moment. You're in charge. You are the solution. And you are the alchemist. As much as you are the oracle. These are just titles for your divinity. And you know it. And you know it so deeply because you are here, because you understand this, because this is truth. This is truth to you. And I want to say thank you for being aware. Thank you for being here. And if we've never met, my name is Jazziel. I didn't say that in the beginning, but it is from the Bible. My mother is a very religious scripture reader, prayer. She named all of her children a holy name in it, but Jazziel is from 2nd Chronicles, chapter 20, to be specific. And that message was from a man called Jazziel. But the name means God is watching over me, God sees me, in not English, in a different language. So, know that the Most High sees you and watches over you too. And I want to say, Namaste, Ashe, and peace be with you all.